Okay, cool. So here, first of all, I would like to thank you all for uh, agreeing on Saturday morning. Usually we run this course on Saturday or Sunday mornings, once in a weekend. And then there are a lot of homework and exercises given to students, which we help them, but also we encourage them to discuss among them and learn as a team rather than just working in your own. Sometimes it is very stressful and not that appealing when you are learning by your own. But if you have your friends or other members of the team or your group working, then it makes more comfortable and easier for everybody to learn. Basically, this session will give you a high level overview of the session of the cloud computing, automation, and modern IT skills requirement, which are in demand across the globe. And it helps people to build career in IT. You don't need any IT background. If you need to be just a normal human who can understand how to install software, how to send, receive emails, how to message, how to communicate basically, and how to manage your own devices. And that's basic skill required. If you can do that, then definitely you can build your long-term career in IT in the 21st century. One of the other reasons for this type of courses becoming more popular is because the universities and other institutes are teaching new content, but still there's a huge gap between the experience you gain by doing things hands-on practically, and not everybody has opportunity to go to university, right? This type of courses you can join and learn from your own home in your own comfort zone. Due to internet being more popular for modern services, then there is the only requirement. You need a good internet connection, you need your device, and you know which direction you are heading into. Once you have that clarity, then you can easily build your career in IT. Throughout my 2 decades plus, I mean, like roughly, I'm working in industry for more than 23 years now. I started working in India in 1999, 2000 as a hardware engineer, was building computers and setting up local area networks there. And then slowly and gradually, I started learning by my own. Mostly, I'm inspired by open source community. The open source community is one of the largest software development community in the world. And this community has given a lot of good softwares and ways of solutions in IT industry, including education, science and research, banking sector. A lot of softwares developed by open source community, which are freely available. And one of the largest project was the Linux development. And you might have seen that Linux has, you might have heard about Linux, I don't know. And if you don't have heard about it, then don't worry. A lot of devices and solutions empowered by Linux nowadays across the globe. A big giant like Amazon, Google, and Azure, they became the biggest IT companies in 21st century because of the Linux and open source softwares. Under the hood, everything is running on Linux-based systems. Yeah. So that is the power of open source community. And once you start learning and gaining basic skills, you will see it's just like you need to teach a child how to walk. And then you don't need to tell him to run or her to run. Once the child is ready to walk, he will find his way to run and explore. And that's how it is. Whenever you are learning new skills, you just need initial dedication and commitment for a few hours a week. And then in 3 months to 6 months time, you will define your own way. And then you will see how easily you can progress with that dedication and commitment. So we will be covering quite a few of those open source technologies during this course. Being this a introductory session, I'll give you a bit of highlights around those tools and technologies we will be covering throughout this course. The first thing, we will start with how this cloud computing became a more of a standard, de facto standard for most of the IT solutions. Because of the easy accessibility and cost effectiveness. But let's have a look. What is cloud computing and what is cloud in terms of information technology? I might say some people are very enthusiastic, so they do search internet and try to find answers by themselves, which is a good thing, and that will encourage you to learn and master new skills. But everything starts with basics, right? So the cloud computing is nothing more but a bunch of computers set up in a secure location, and they are accessible through internet in a very granular way. Yeah, it's controlled, the access is controlled, the permissions are given are very restricted, but you can get what you want basically at a very minimal cost. And that's what mainly the cloud computing is. You don't have to worry about where physically that server or that storage system is located. As far as you can access it in your comfort zone using your devices like mobile phone or laptop or desktop, then you can continue working on it. So yeah, by definition, you can say there's a bunch of servers and storage systems hosted in a physical location somewhere on this planet Earth, where you are accessing it for your day-to-day purposes. There are quite a lot of providers. Being a first, what you can say, solution provider, Amazon is at the top of the whole competition. The vision was very clear. They started this service for their own e-commerce platform, and then they developed and built it in a way that it was scalable across the globe. So their motivation was basically, if they can run a globally scaled e-commerce business, then they can offer this service to other organizations. And after doing the research, they realized a lot of organizations are struggling to build a highly available, redundant, and fault-tolerant infrastructure across the globe. Now, some of you are very beginners, so if you don't understand those terms, like highly available, fault-tolerant, redundant, then don't worry about it. We will be covering those facts about services throughout this course. So yeah, coming back to the providers, Amazon Web Services is the number one at the moment. The Azure is catching up, being a predominantly the Windows Microsoft has a big name, and being their own customers across the globe, it was easy for them to build services and deliver it to them. But again, they are also using a lot of open source softwares to build their platform, okay? And Google Compute Engine is a Google Cloud, which is, again, people are using a lot. You can see Google services are very popular. There are quite a few other cloud providers as well, but we will be mainly focusing on Amazon Web Services. And if time permits, we will give you a bit more insight about Azure as well. It's all about learning and mastering one cloud, and then you can see how easy it is for an individual to pick up other one. Now, this is a research from 2017. I will show you the research from last year as well. But when cloud computing started becoming more of a native thing in 2013, 14, 15, a lot of providers were trying to build their businesses using this cloud offerings, right? You can see there are a lot of providers we're trying here. At the top is Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, and Google. By the way, this is from a very popular research organization, which is called Gartner. Gartner has a very, historically, a very steady research and research team. They do research around the innovation about technologies and companies who are offering innovative technology services. This is one area where they do a lot of research. So you can see there are quite a lot of companies we were trying to jump the bandwagon, like trying to build their business so that they can capture a portion or a share in the market. In 2017, this is from 2017, you can see here. And this is from the last year, June until June, yeah. So you can see not everybody was successful, but everybody tried. Like a lot of companies, Skytech, Giant, you might not have heard about them. CenturyLink, like they were all, this were just those companies who were trying to do a big change. There were quite a few others we were doing a small scale, but they're trying to make their footprint in the cloud computing offerings. But you can see as time progressed in last 7 years, Amazon is still the number one. It was like, you can see Amazon named as a leader in Gartner's infrastructure services Magic Quadrant for 12th consecutive year. So the thing is, from the innovation point of view, AWS is really doing good. They listen to their customers. They have delivered the services which their customers ask for. Solutions they are building are very robust, scalable, and basically they are in the race for last 12 years, and they are consistently topping up. And that's why we try to teach AWS, because that gives you a very good balanced understanding about cloud computing and services. The second, Microsoft, you can see they are also catching up. Google is catching up as well. So once you understand the cloud computing from one provider, you will be able to, understand the terminology, understand how it works, and you will be learning hands-on how to build services in cloud using AWS throughout this course, right? There is a small video clip which I will share with you all after the session, so that you can go through it. It is on YouTube by the particular provider. It's like AWS provider. And I'll also share the link from where we have received this information from internet. Okay. Now, when we start learning cloud computing, we have to understand some areas at high level, right? It is similar to when you start learning how to drive in UK. No matter when we have driven the car in other countries, when you start driving and taking some lessons, you understand some terminology, right? What is roundabout? What is box parking? You might have already heard about it, but you may need to understand the rules, how the drivers should consider other conditions on the road, speed limits, different traffic lights, dual carriage road. So that you learn through them by going through the set of instructions printed in the book or online in the video tutorials, etc. IT skills are similar to that. You just pick up few things which are basics. You try and understand, you think through it. Don't just remember it, just think about it. We are not going to build a rocket. It's not a rocket science, but you just understand those terminology, how it is defined, what sort of services it defines. So for example, here you can see this on-premises data center. On-premises data centers were very popular, and they're still popular, but only big organizations are able to afford that cost, right? What happens is, if you want to build your own services, for example, all of you are trying to build your services for example, e-commerce platform, or you're trying to build an educational platform. If you want to do it by your own ground up from scratch, you need to buy some space where you can build your data centers. You need to buy servers. Servers are basically high-end computers who are designed for industrial purposes. Then you need networking, security components. So the whole stack, you can see, you manage everything by your own, starting from networking, storage, and everything up before you can deliver your service live. So you can understand how long it will take to build these services if you want to do it by your own. So then the next approach comes in the picture, that you rely on some other companies. For example, if you want a telephone service, you buy your handset, but you are using someone like EE or Vodafone or other providers, O2 or whoever is offering that service, right? Then you pay them a monthly subscription. So you still are managing your own handset. You are responsible for your own handset. But for the services point of view, to access your banking, to access your messaging, to access your communication on your phone, you rely either on your service provider, like a internet provider from your the carrier you purchased your SIM card, or you rely on a Wi-Fi system from where you can communicate, right? So if those two systems doesn't exist, your phone is just become a standalone device where you can play a few games, you can take pictures, videos, but you can't do much with it. So similar to that, if you're building services, you rely for hardware on companies like Amazon, Microsoft, or Google, who can provide this, like these areas in green. In the second column, we are talking about infrastructure as services. So you rely on them for looking after all the physical stuff. But then you deploy your services, you deploy your servers, you deploy your databases, you build your applications, and you deliver them. So that will be faster for you because you don't have to worry about waiting to build your physical data center. You rely on third party. Yeah. Similar to that, you buy a car, but if there are no roads and if there are no facilities for parking, you can't do anything with your car. So it's similar to that. The third thing is, if you are a startup company, you have idea, you have only, and you have a bunch of software developers or application developers. So you don't want to do anything apart from developing your application and just managing your data related to your application. So that comes here as a platform of service, as a third column. So you rely on everything from the cloud provider's point of view. It's mainly considered as a serverless architecture, where you don't have your servers. They have serverless architecture available. You just build your applications and provision them. So that is platform as a service. And third thing is, you become a reseller of something. So you don't own any technical part. You don't have to develop anything, but you become a reseller of some services, right? And that is like a software as a service, or you can even directly become a consumer of a service, like email services from Google, right? Gmail services. So you are a consumer of Gmail, and if your business needs messaging, video conferencing, like we are using this Zoom services at the moment for our conferences. So this Zoom software is software as a service for me. I have installed it and I'm using it for my regular purposes. And that will help me to run my business. I don't have to worry about it. The Zoom servers are taking care of all the communication we are currently doing. And that's known as a software as a service. So if you understand this at high level, we will be able to go through this in a bit more detail throughout the course. And if you have any questions, I would say just take a note of it, and we will cover all the questions together at the end of the course, at the end of this session, sorry. Now, why we need to learn cloud computing and automation? Usually things are driven by the investors, like they see an opportunity for a forthcoming future. In future, what sort of services will be in demand, who will need these services. So this is a bit older slide. Just I have kept a couple of old slides because I used to run this course in 2016, 2017 as well. And I will just show you the comparison. Like, one thing you just need to know here is that time, the forecast up to 2016 was 30 billion US dollars, right? So this was like about previous decade, what sort of growth they are expecting. And if you look at that now, the growth expected from 30-40 billion dollars is to nearly 500 billion dollars. Because of this, services are becoming more popular. This growth is very, 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 what you can say, empowering the upcoming businesses, the next level of businesses. And that is the reason we encourage people learn new skills, basically starting with cloud computing and automation, so that there will be plenty of opportunities for career building. You can build your career, and long term, you will able to stabilize your career and earn more income. So apart from building a career, you need to learn something which help you increase your income bit by bit. And I have seen some of my old students who started with £10 an hour, and they are earning now £40 an hour, right? In just 3-4 years. So they are able to increase the fourfold, you can say, in growth in their own income by just keeping track on what they learned basically 5 years back, and they are just adding a little bit more with their experience every year and two, and then they are making good difference. They are earning good salaries, and at point in time, they were all beginners. Some of them were never had any IT experience, and still they have started career about 3 years back, and they are doing really good. So no matter whether you join this course or not, but if you have done a bit of research, you will see the next thing in the next 5-10 years. If you pick up some of the key skills now, you will be able to build a long-term career, as the automation and IT services are becoming more and more native part of our lives. Especially after COVID, you can see some companies' growth were like 700% because all of a sudden the physical world was like stagnant, but you have to still survive, right, in this world. So you need a ways of communicating, ways of ordering your services, ways of delivering your services, mainly banking and finance sector. You can see education sector. You can see even nowadays, I have seen medical industry is having a very good use case for services, like doctors and specialists from abroad are able to treat, or maybe at least give some sort of analysis for the patients based on their conditions, right? So those things are becoming more natively, more commonly blended with our human lives, so that learning those skills will always help you build your long-term career. The second thing, this is a quick theory part I will go through. What happens when they start using cloud computing? The parameters which are very, as an investor or as a learner, you need to know how much money you have to invest in first thing. So there are a few parameters I'll go through quickly. The CapEx is the capital in expenditure, right? So whenever you build a new business, as we saw in previous slides, like infrastructure building is very, very expensive. And if you try to build your own cloud, then you have to invest a lot of money. Or if you build your own data center, you have to invest a lot of money in beginning. The cost is very high. But if you go with the cloud-based services, it's a pay-as-you-go model, and some of the services are completely free. For example, building a network in the cloud is free. AWS don't charge you if you want to build your network in cloud. You only pay for the data transfers, which you have to pay anyway. In the first case, if you're building your own services, you have to pay for every single bit. But here, quite a lot of bits are free. The second thing is operational cost. Again, traditional data centers are very high. you need trained people, you need them to look after a lot of other things. Where cloud-based, like individuals like you who can learn new skills and then offer your services, and cloud providers and other companies are happy to hire such individuals who are passionate about learning new things, and they are willing to build their career in IT, right? It's not about somebody forcing you or pushing you, do that, do this. It's about people have common sense and they see what's going on in the last 5-10 years, what has happened, and now what type of skills are required. So that makes a bit more clear for people who are thinking and understanding how they want to progress their career. There are a few other bits and pieces, but don't worry about them on this slide. It's a comparison for your own managed data center versus the cloud data centers. And this will always, the third column will always have a cost-effective solution. For example, some of your services you are running throughout the office hours, but during weekends and during evenings, there are not many people using those services. So you scale down elasticity, dynamic shrinking and dynamic expanding your infrastructure, which works very well with cloud. So the pay-as-you-go model helps you reduce the operational cost if you go towards the cloud-based infrastructure. And that's why people are using it. Now, what I will do is the next 10-12 minutes, I will quickly show you a demo about how easy it is to quickly build a server in cloud, which is completely free. You don't have to follow along this because we will be covering this bit by bit into our next, starting from next sessions. However, if those who have joined from the laptop or your desktop, the next demo I will require you to install a few softwares, but I'll give you a bit time then. Just now, just wanted to quickly show you how quickly it has two-factor authentication. So we can always save Yeah, the two-factor authentication is valid for a minute, so I need to just wait for the next one. Okay, 15. Wait for one more minute. Right. Yeah. So when we create this, can you all see my screen, right? Still?
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
It's visible. Yeah, cool. So whenever you build your first account or you create your first account in AWS, everything we will be learning in our session will be free. Apart from there will be a cost of $5 or $10 once. We will create some sort of Route 53 records and net gateways. But 90% of the services we will be covering in this session will be completely free. So like For example, you can see you have global infrastructure. As soon as you create your AWS account, you can build your services across the globe. These are the multiple regions. You can build your services in whichever region you want. For example, we are in US East 2, and let's try and build a web server quickly here so that we can test how quickly you can build a web service and deploy your applications so that you can go live in minutes rather than waiting for months and months. I'll be using basic network. They all provide simple network topology. Please don't worry about this all if you are very new. You will learn everything in smaller steps when we start these sessions from next week. Everybody will have opportunity to learn through every single terminology and technical details. Believe me, we have done these courses for many times, and quite a few people who are struggling to even find a terminal on their laptops are successfully working in IT at the moment, and they are enjoying their career. So don't worry too much. I'm just trying to show you that how quickly we can build a server so that we can run a service in cloud. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly create a new instance. Instance is a name given to a virtual server. I'll say we need test. I'll use AWS Linux. I can use Ubuntu as well. Let's do Ubuntu. This, you can always see when you try to build a service, you have a free tier eligibility there, and then kind of types of resources you see, free tier eligible. Don't worry, as I said earlier, we will be covering this in details in detail as we go through this course. I'm just trying to run this quickly, and I'll just say anyway, yeah, so that you can test when I build the server. We will allow you to access that from everywhere. Okay, so with few clicks, you can see it will try to build a server in Ohio region. And we have to wait for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, what I'll do is I want to show you all this video link, which will help you gain a bit more about this. Copy. Okay, so that was just a quick introductory video, and by the time we saw that, I've shared the link, and there are lots of free resources as well available on internet. When you start learning, you can revise, refer, and learn and master your skills, basically. So you can see now the instance is in a running state. It has all the checks passed, and what I'll do is I will connect to this instance using my SSH key. But let's see if there is a default, what you can say, web page available. Otherwise, we need to install a small web server, which takes only 2 minutes. Open this address. So right now, when I click that address, it's not going to display probably anything because it doesn't have any service there. Just I'm going to which key we use? We use one of the existing keys. Okay. Ohio. And what is the public IP address? Copy. So now, this is my terminal. And you will learn about this all, don't worry. And I'm connected to my server using my SSH key. Okay. HTTPD. So I'm just installing a web server here just to make sure we can view a page. If I reload now, should be okay. So right now, I just need to make sure that there is a security group attached, has a traffic allowed for the ports we need. And it will be into a section of the so we have which security group we have just launched today will be, this will be probably the launch to, just need to see the wizard. Yeah, it's 14th of this security group. It doesn't have a rule for the traffic we want to allow. Edit inbound rules, add a rule, HTTP is the web server from anywhere. Save this rule. So you can see now should be serving system CTL start HTTPD http://localhost. It is serving a page, should serve it anytime. Okay. So open this address. Double check about networking. HTTP://IP address. Yeah, it is working from my laptop, so it should be working from here as well. Sometimes that is due to the cache proxy and stuff, where, yeah, you can see this is the web server we just built in last 5-7 minutes, and we are able to serve the web pages across the globe. I'll put this link in your chat. If you all just ping this link and confirm that page is working for you, I'll be happy for that. Can you please open up that link in the chat and confirm you are able to see this web page?
Hey, hi Nitish Sanjay, I'm able to see you.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Good. So this is the power of cloud computing, right? Without spending a single penny, I'm able to build a web server, which is a free tier one. And you will all learn how to build this. And in like after a few sessions, you will be able to build this on your own. Okay. Moving forward, let's go to the next section now. So now we saw this quick demo about cloud. You will be able to create this account by your own self. You want to do it, you can do it. And if you want to wait until next session, then please wait. We will go through it in detail, bit by bit. Don't worry about it. So key facts to take away from this, the first session of this is about the cost effectiveness, the speed, reliability. And you know, the most important thing is all the upgrades about the hardware, making sure they recycle the old hardware and install new hardware. They make sure that customers are running businesses successfully. It's all cloud providers' responsibility. You know, you don't have to worry about it. It's like you learn these skills. Some organizations and companies are trying to build their services as a cloud professional, as an IT professional. You offer your services. You rely on a cloud provider, and there are multiple cloud providers now, and similar approach, similar skill sets are required, and you build your service. So you can see the key point is knowledge is power. If you have knowledge about cloud computing, you will be getting more opportunities to build your career. If you know how modern IT works, you have an opportunity to build your long-term career. And these skills are like long-term, long-going skills. You don't have to worry about. And this is a recession-proof career as well. You know, there were a couple of recessions throughout my career in 23 years, but I never had any problem. There were always work, plenty of work on the scale. And currently we are receiving so much of work. I'm saying, no, I can't do because I have only 8 hours a day. And I don't want to just keep earning money. You know, it's just, there are a lot of more people who can come join these communities and then start building their career. So those are the key facts I wanted to highlight. That learn right amount of skill at the right time. It's like there is a saying in English, to be at the right place at the right time is a good thing, and you have to search for it. If you look for it, things will be available. And when student is ready, a teacher will appear. This sort of English sayings are very well. Okay, the next thing is about the automation. Now, what happens? The scale of requirements are so high, like you need 20 servers or you need 50 applications to be deployed in one day. And one engineer or two engineers can do what they can do. But there are some pitfalls about the manual process. You know, when you start doing manual stuff, you have to prepare a lot of documentation. If there is any change, you have to update the documentation. You have to make sure that you have covered every aspect of the documentation so that other individuals working in your team or your organization, your manager, your tech leads can have understanding. Due to those issues, automation has become more common. So what we did in our previous session, a few minutes back, we created a server manually from the console. In this course, we will be covering a tool called Terraform, which will be allowing us to automate this all resources. So instead of logging into the console and click through the process of building or creating new resources, you will be coding into Terraform to build these resources, right? And that's very easy. You know, it is like a 5-year-old or 10-year-old doing a math, fifth standard math, how you are doing small sums. It's similar to that. And we will be teaching that ground up from scratch for automating the infrastructure using Terraform. So here there are a few highlights about the technologies and the tools we will be learning throughout this course. So we will be learning AWS Cloud, and on top of that, we will be learning Linux for beginners, some command line utilities from Linux, which will help you. We are not going to cover everything in Linux because that is not required now. Instead of that, we will be covering Terraform, and Docker. So Terraform is, as I said, will be natively automation tool for us to build our services. It is developed by a company called HashiCorp, and you will learn about it. I mean, this is the first session, so don't worry about just the term Terraform should be okay for you to remember. And there are a few other smaller tools such as Git for version control, YAML, and JSON are the data serialization formats. You define your data in a particular format. And then we will be building continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines using GitLab CI, which is again available for free for learning. So you don't have to worry about paying for any of these services. All of these services are free, and we will be like triggering some pipelines to build our infrastructure as we saw in AWS. And then what we will do, we will pair people in the group, like two people working in a pair programming way. Pairing is one of the terms which encourages a lot of coding skills. Now the coding we will be learning will be the infrastructure coding. We will not be developing any applications, right? The coding for us will be an infrastructure coding, which is quite simple. And believe me, trust me, you will be able to do it. The only required ingredient is your dedication, your commitment, and give like 10 hours a week, right? Out of 100 and like 40 something hours, you need only 10, 12 hours a week religiously with learning, and you will build your career. Trust me. Now, as I said, in the modern world, everything needs software. Nowadays, software has to run on servers to become a service. Delivering service from inception to the users is very slow and error prone. If you do it manually, as we saw, if we try to do everything yourself, will be very cost effective. It won't be cost effective. It will be very costly, and then you have to build a big team, and then it can also end up in a frustration, loss of money. But if you start using automation and cloud computing, Terraform will help you to build services quickly in no time. For example, in some cases, we were doing some analysis where a set of engineers working on requirements can take about up to 3 days to build it. But once they learn Terraform, they can build it in like half a day, everything. So they gain like 2 days or 2.5 days worth of time to do a bit more useful and valuable things rather than trying to do firefighting. Symptoms are defects of, so this is, don't worry about it. This is like a bit of a high level slide. I will skip it. So now the last part of this session is covering a little bit about DevOps work practices and what is DevOps. You might have heard about this term a lot, and how DevOps practices will be blended. It will be blended within this learning so that you will get understanding about the new ways of working, basically. In a simple term, you can say DevOps is a set of processes and practices which helps organizations to be agile. The agility is like to move without any breaks, to continue running your business without any problems. So DevOps is not a skill. A lot of time people get confused. A DevOps engineer is that. The DevOps engineer has a lot of other skills such as cloud computing, Terraform automation, GitLab, Git CI/CD pipelines, and they follow certain work styles or work approaches or work practices, you can say, which makes it easier for everyone to work. Now, why DevOps was evolved and why it became a more popular term in the world is because this next slide will give you a bit of idea. About 10, 15 years back, the problem was software development teams were working in isolation. Like, for example, a project owner has 2-3 software development teams, and they are giving them tasks that we want to develop these softwares, and they will build them they will test them on their own computers or on their own laptops. Now, once they have done that, then they will ship that code to the operations team, as it is shown in the left-hand side. The developers team has developed it and give it to our operations team that my application is ready. Now it is your responsibility to run this application. So what happens? Without having much of awareness about what this application does, how it works, what are the dependencies, what sort of resources like memory and networking, caching is required, is unknown. Because running an application on a desktop or in a development environment is completely different than running an application in cloud or maybe in a production grade environment. So to break that isolation, break that silo, obviously the first time when an operations team will try to build and deploy that application, it will not work as expected. It will have problems, it will have some issues, maybe crashing, or there are some bugs. What happened? DevOps breaks that silo, and development and operation teams work together from the beginning. When they start the project, they have embedded operations engineer with the DevOps mindset and the DevOps skills, kind of working approaches with the new modern skills like version control systems. They are aware of, they are building their infrastructure using code. They do try and discuss ideas, like development team has some ideas, the operations team will say, okay, in that case, we need to escalate this for more resources if you need, or we need to get approvals from managers or leaders. So they work as a team. So there are less or no frictions. Like they know what is going on from day one, from the first week in the project. There are information shared with the operations teams, and developers are also aware of the limitations or the infrastructure we are trying to build. And using a cloud provider nowadays, there are less of those problems. But the thing is about the rhythm and about the overall requirements, both teams are aware or up to date with the happenings, what is going on. And that's the reason they work together, and that's how the DevOps culture evolved. And that has made a lot of company work practices streamlined and happily making those progresses for the different projects and products. It works well. So we will be doing the similar thing, but in terms of infrastructure as a code and infrastructure automation, we will try to learn those best practices throughout this course. And then what happens, agile and DevOps style stuff, which works together. Agility is, as I said, in simple terms, you progress without any problems. What happens when you follow DevOps practices? A DevOps engineer will be always available to a development team, whether the maybe person is sick or person is on holiday. They are able to replace the person and skills without major issues, and the project continues to work. The team, the project, the services, they don't stop. And that's how agility, cross-function teams working together to make sure they deliver what is required at high level. So if you heard about agility and automation and DevOps style, agility does come. And there are one of my friend is an agile coach. He's also on this call just to see if we need any inputs from him. I'll see if he's available for a session or two. I'll help you all to understand from the agile point of view. He will come and guide us what sort of things are important. And towards the end of the course, we will have a dummy project, and that dummy project will basically help you all to understand how actually in IT companies, how things are working, how you will be playing your role as a DevOps engineer, and how you will be taking responsibilities and delivering your responsibilities So yeah, that will be a dummy project towards the end of the course, and you will have a full working understanding as you are working on a live project with a company. Right. So having said enough about this, a small task now, those who are using their laptops and desktops, I would give you a couple of small tasks to follow. The first thing is, if you can visit this link, I'll share this with you on the chat, and try to install this. Download it for your laptop or desktop system, whether it is a Windows or Linux or Apple. Download it and install it. I just want to see whether you are all able to install this on your system. Yeah. Are you all able to see this screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I will encourage everybody who is trying to download and install this. Can you just put your status in the chat message so others can also understand, saying you are downloading and installing it, and we will take it from there. basically when you download and install it, you will see a similar screen like this. Okay, if it is still downloading, then okay, what you'll do, you can install it and share your status into the WhatsApp group. This is about how we all will be learning in that WhatsApp, through the WhatsApp group, sharing your ideas. And if you have any problem, somebody or myself will help you. Has anybody installed it successfully, or still it is downloading?
I completed downloaded, but it's still installing.
Okay, good.
Downloading is complete.
Okay.
It says initializing.
Okay. All right, so let's do one thing. What you will need to create one login as well. If you go to hub.docker.com, just create a free account here. It's free of cost. You don't have to supply any details. Just create a register and then sign in. You should be able to create a login with this website, where we will be using our Docker images from. Are you able to create a login there, all of you?
Yeah.
Cool, perfect. So once you install the Docker desktop, it will ask you for a login and you have to use the same credentials. Basically, Docker desktop is linked with hub.docker.com by default. So once you log in with that credentials, you will be able to Okay, so you can complete this exercise maybe later on. We can move on with the rest of the presentation. Will be very quick. So what happens? I can just quickly show you what I'm trying to achieve. Now, once you have installed it and logged into the Docker, then you will be able to run a similar web server from your system. So what will happen is when we are learning, we will be using a lot of open source free tools to build our understanding about few technical aspects. And for example, Docker is one of the main service we will be learning. And as you can see, I have started a small Docker container on my system. Don't worry about the terminology. It's like a small service. I can access that using my system. So I've started a small web server. The first thing we saw, you can build a server very quickly in cloud. Now, when you are developing and learning on your system, you will be using Docker a lot. And you can see similarly, I can build a web service using a Docker container on my system. And the local host means my local computer. The local host remains same for everybody. And you can run a quick web server using Docker on your system, which is also a web page, web service we are seeing. So yeah, that's the power of open source tools. I just want to delete some of the old containers here so it's easier. And we can take it from there. Yeah. So once you have created your login with Docker Hub, you will be able to follow the similar instructions from the web page I shared. When you download the Docker, you will be, and don't worry about it. We can take care of it in the next session. Yeah, as far as you can install it and log in with the credentials, you should be able to see something like this on your screen. Yeah. Has anybody successfully downloaded and installed it? Can see something like this on their desktop?
I did, but this close window and restart.
Okay.
There's
no.
That's why I don't do it.
See, it's similar to your services. In my case, if I have Docker, I'm searching in my, so if you go to your Windows system and start and search for the installed application, you should be able to start it as a service. Okay. You want to share your screen, Krunal? Oh, was it Krunal? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, so that others can also see what's going on. Let me make you. Yeah.
Need to restart the.
Yeah. Click to restart. Yeah. Oh, okay. Close and restart. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I'm not doing.
Yeah. Restart the computer. Okay. Understand. Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah. If you all see that, yeah. My apology. If you all see this, then yeah, it will help you start the system when you restart the computer. Don't worry about it. Yeah, perfect. And is most of you who are installing it will see the similar screen, and then once you restart, it will bring you the screen I was sharing earlier. Okay. All right. So okay.
Hi Nilesh, what this means? Docker desktop requires Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise /Home.
Sorry, I miss. Sorry, I didn't catch you. Can you repeat your message, please?
It says installation failed, and it says Docker desktop requires Windows 10 Pro / Enterprise / Home.
So you are using Home Edition?
I'm using
Windows 10.
Windows 10.
Windows 10 Home Edition or what?
I think it's Home, yeah.
Okay. That's fine. That if the Windows 10 Home Edition, we will find difficult for that. There is another option, but we need to see.
Okay.
If it is Home Edition, Docker Desktop for Home Edition. I'll have a look and I'll ping you if there is any other compatible version. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen is we can learn that in similar thing into cloud. So Docker is just 10-15% of the course. So those who are finding it difficult to install on your desktops, we can install it on the EC2 instance in the cloud and learn from there as well. So don't worry about if it is not working. Good, Sanjay has installed it successfully as well, which is fine. Cool. So the next thing, the potential about earnings and stuff. Now, this slide is from 2017. In 2017, when you were searching internet for DevOps, it was showing about 800 jobs, right? But now, if we search similar thing, you can see that the demand has grown up. If you go there and search for DevOps, and you can see the number of jobs available are more than 4,000. So this is just a rank. It goes up and down like one bit here and there. Like in that time, the rank was 44 about 5 years back, and the rank is now 12. So it has obviously, the demand has gone up, and it is continuously in demand. Okay, so you are on the right track at the right time. You can see still next 10, 20 years, if you learn IT skills now, cloud computing, bit of automation, and these tools, which we have discussed briefly, very briefly, we haven't covered anything yet, then you will be in the right in the right place to build your career. We will help you, provided you will be able to put your efforts to learn skills. If anybody has any questions, I can take questions now.
Hi, Nilesh. I have a question for you. In this course, we are only covering AWS, or we are covering Windows, Azure as well?
So let me just bring that 1 second. Yeah. I'll just quickly get the outline. So what we have outlined here is based on the demand of AWS, we have outlined this course. Now, the cloud provider is one thing, but there are other tools like Terraform, CI/CD pipeline using Git, Docker. If we have enough time, then what my plan is, the basic architectural resources I want to cover for both AWS and Azure, so that you can build the base infrastructure in both clouds using Terraform. That is my objective. Obviously, it depends on everybody in the team who wants to follow along. But we will be covering more resources in AWS and Azure, compatibility comparisons, So yeah, in a way, we will cover a little bit of Azure as well, so that you will have a kickstart on Azure and AWS, both cloud providers.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Nilesh.
Hello, Nilesh. I also
Hi.
have a question.
Yeah.
So as you demonstrated that there are various cloud companies in the market like AWS, Azure, GCP, etc. So my question is, this could be useful for others also, that on the other side there is a DevOps techniques, Terraform, Kubernetes, etc. And on the other hand, there are different service providers. So do we need to learn these techniques for all the service providers? Are they different or are they same regardless of the service provider?
It's a very good question. So the thing is, the workflow, from the workflow point of view, it is like, let me give you an example. It is like when you learn driving in UK, you learn driving using one car, right? Four-wheeler.
Yes.
And once you are comfortable with the driving rules and regulations in UK, like road signs, speed limits, then if you have to change a car, you will need a little bit of adjustments, right? You need to just get comfortable with the new car. But you don't have to learn all the new rules from the driving point of view. You have already passed your driving test. You know the signal rules, speed limits, etc. So it is similar to that. It's like different cruise control, but the workflows remain same. So, for example, if you learn Terraform, there is a requirement of Terraform resources, right? So the resources, whenever we create a VPC or instance, EC2 instance in a cloud provider like Azure and AWS, Azure and AWS, to be very honest, are quite similar. If you learn AWS, you will be able to pick up Azure very quickly, and vice versa. Google Cloud is slightly different, and that's why, in the Gartner second quadrant report, you see two top providers are Azure and AWS because of they're quite similar. The reason AWS is number one because they have more services. So yeah, it will be a little bit of adjustment, but not too big difference between Azure and AWS.
Okay, good to know, because I was fearing that, there is a lot of learning curve, that once you learn AWS, then again you have to relearn or unlearn for Azure and like that. But yeah, thanks for providing or clearing that doubt.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, from the Terraform point of view, you will be fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Cool.
you.
Any other questions? Sanjay, Nilesh, Vishal, Pinal, Krunal?
How long is the course for?
Sorry, how long duration?
Yes, I mean, how long is the course? Like every week we are studying, but
Yeah,
I
so
mean, what is the projected when we're gonna be finishing this course, and after that, I mean, the practicing and everything.
yeah. Okay, cool. So the course outlined here, I mean, I have already shared this with you all, right? So we roughly expect 10 weekends to complete this course, right? 10 weekends to cover the content learnings and 80% of the learning is practical, hands-on. So you will definitely need a laptop or a desktop. This is not just attending the session from a mobile device and you will learn. No, it won't work like that. And that's why we have deliberately added theory plus practical everywhere, because 80% of the learning is using hands-on. And most of the learning will be done in about 10 weeks. The session will be mostly on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, but we will be doing it on a Saturday morning. And once we define, we will be doing on Saturday morning. Everybody agrees to that, and then we will take it from there. And then roughly about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the speed. Some students complete those project tasks very quickly and build their understanding, which we help them for, and then we will help them for preparation of interview. Usually the best interview preparation, what I have done so far is I send some questions and ask students to record their answers using the phone and send it to me. So I listen to their answers and then ask them for corrections. And that worked for me in last session about pre-COVID. When we finished the batch, like 50% of the students we were able to place. Out of 6 students, we were able to place 3 of them. Straight away, they were like into jobs.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nilesh,
And
we will
is-
get any certificate once we complete this course, or like how it is?
So we are happy to issue a certificate from our limited company that you have attended this course and you have completed the project for POC. Also, many times we keep receiving live project work. You know, I'm literally this year, I have said no to 2 of the other projects because I don't have time. So I have some extra work coming through, and if fingers crossed, by the time we finish this course and if we're still receiving live projects, I will help you all to work on live projects. So that will build your reputation and CV. You know, we will help you build CV and profile. And you are all, and everybody as a human, we all understand if we work on a live project, it builds our confidence 100% more. It's like when you're driving a car, when you pass your driving test and you drive a car on the road, is the confidence levels are different. So my role as a mentor is to build your confidence, your technical understanding, and make sure you are quite fluent in what you are learning. You know, it is not about just doing this course or I'm doing it for money or not. It's just not an objective. My objective is I want to help people who wants to build their careers, who are very serious, who are sincere and dedicated to move into the world of IT. Because if you start with £10 an hour with IT course, IT job, and in next 2 to 5 years, you will be earning 30, 40 pound an hour. And that is all dependent on your interest in your time. So yeah, we will try best everything what we can. And even we are telling our old students, if sometimes what happens, they completed the course, they need a bit more time. So they can join all our future batches for free. You don't have to pay fees for your future batches or future learnings. Does that answer your question, Sanjay, or you need a bit more details?
Yeah, thanks. So,
cool. Okay. If there are no more questions, then I would say thanks for joining all. And is Saturday working for you all, or you want to do Sunday morning or Saturday morning? Just let us decide.
I think so Saturday is fine.
Okay, then. Thanks for joining. Thanks for your time. We'll see you all on next Saturday morning at 10, right?
thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes,
Thank you. Yeah.
it's fine. Thank you.
Fine.
Nilesh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.